So, welcome back to Into the Infinityverse, and this is going to be an announcement for a new story. Yes, I know, another story when there's several finished. Keep in mind, guys, we don't get paid for this, and it's all just for fun. Yes, I'm aware there are a lot of unfinished stories, but like everything has a set continuity. Everything is supposed to be connected to one another. And for what it's worth, I think Jason and I have done so far a good job of not skipping ahead to stuff. We have planned stories. We're not skipping ahead. This is all planned. Making a universe is not exactly an easy thing, even if it is all fanfiction. But yeah, so whenever we do a new story, it's for a reason. Like, it's connected. It's usually has connective tissue to everything else. The only one who's kind of guilty of not being able to keep up with anything was No Road Home, and the only one is because that story's been kind of a pain in the ass to write, and that's pretty much my fault. So, aside from No Road Home, every other story has been very connected and has a reason for being kind of slow. Anyway, so enough about that. We're going to be talking about the newest story called Infinityverse What If. So, Infinityverse What If is exactly what it is, a what if story. And honestly, there's kind of a few factors as to why this is getting written. One of the majors is, one of the major inspirations for this is Marvel What If, the next week's, it still blows my mind. I was like, oh yeah, What If is coming out next week. Like, I literally forgot until I was just about to do this video going, oh right, next week is the start of What If. And the other things were a few comics that Jason had read. JLA The Nail, which is a really cool... The Nail is a really cool Elseworld story. And Bullet Points, which is a really cool Marvel What If story. I've talked about it a few times on here. And that was a few factors. But the other deciding thing that was kind of like Jason messaged me one night and going, we're going to be writing a what if story. And I was like, okay, I'm joking, but like, that's pretty much how it went. Like, that's kind of how it went, where like Jason was like, I can't get the idea of not doing a what if, so he really wanted to do a what if. And the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, let's do a what if. If I'm being honest, it was kind of cool, but like there was What If was always on the table for the Infinityverse. Like, it was always on the table, but it was never like we never wanted to have that threshold push, because really it's like fanfiction itself is What If, right? Like, when you come down to it, fanfiction itself is really What If material, right? Like, it's all just like fanfiction itself is really just What If stuff in a whole. So it was like, we're doing a what if story of a what if universe. Yeah, so bear with us. So anyway, so in this universe, so this is not going to be like your typical Marvel what if comic where it's like a one and done anthology story. This one is going to be like one and done stories, but they're all going to be interconnected because this is a what if universe. And basically, while these chapters will be pretty much one and done, they will have some connective tissue throughout the story, and it will all culminate in the final part. So let's talk about this story. For what I can tell you about it is that I wrote the prologue, and the prologue is basically what it is that Clockwork, the Ghost Master of Time, and also a member of a group called the Cosmic Council, which is a group of these like omnipotent characters who oversee the multiverse. Zordon was a member. He got kicked out for the whole Dark Phoenix thing. But in terms of like other members, you have like Jaga from Thundercats, the Sorceress from Grayskull, the Magical High Commission, Yue from Avatar, and Raiden from Mortal Kombat. There's a few others, but that's just to name a few. Clockwork is also among them, along with Oberon from Gargoyles. And basically, these guys oversee the multiverse. Specifically, Clockwork oversees like branches in the multiverse. It's not like with a TVA kind of situation where he goes in, is like, reset the timeline for all time, always. It's not like that. It's like, oh, multiverse exists. Who are we to like the Cosmic Council, basically, when a new universe is born in the multiverse, basically he's like, who are we to decide who gets to live and who dies? The multiverse just exists out there. So, yeah, so Clockwork really, what he really does is, he doesn't go out and destroy these universes, he goes out and observes them. Like, he goes out, observes them, and comes back, documents it, and is like, that was fun, let me do other stuff. And really, Clockwork kind of enjoys that line of work, because it's like an unknown element. Even though time itself in the Infinityverse, to quote a certain Time Lord, is wibbly wobbly timey wimey. So the timeline is never really exactly set. Like, there are fixed points, but like there's nothing really set. So basically, in this universe, in this new universe, Clockwork sees a new branch forming in the timeline, and is like, oh, a new universe, I'll go check that out. And it's more or less Clockwork observing this entire universe and being like, oh, cool. Anyway, and that's basically going to be Clockwork, where he starts and like the Watcher in the What If comics is like, where he goes in, he's like, oh, this is cool. Anyway, let's move on. So that's Clockwork's role, is that he's going to observe this new universe from start of one point to another, and then just come back and be like, woo, that was weird. Anyway. So we have a lot of we have several planned stories for this. The idea is that this is not going to be a long story or stories. They're basically going to be like one and done, even though they're all interconnected. So they're all going to be like one and done one shots. I will say that someone, Awesome Rebel, said like, "Oh, you should have like a Ben 10." Ben 10 is not in the Infinityverse. I've talked about several times that Ben 10 is not in the Infinityverse, along with some other ones he mentioned. I was like, yeah, it's What If, but like that doesn't change that doesn't change the rules. That doesn't change what's canon and what's not. Sorry. Sorry, Awesome Rebel. I didn't mean to come off harsh. It was just that them's the rules. Anyway, so yeah, it's just gonna be a fun ride. It's just gonna be this really cool, really fun ride of just Clockwork observing this whole new this whole new world. I just quoted Aladdin, and showing it. Now, I will say, if you're wondering, oh, this is going to be overtly dark, right? This is just going to be just so dark, like DC Universe dark, a DC movie universe dark, right? No, I swear it will not be dark. There's going to be some dark elements, but it's not going to... We're not talking Flashpoint here. We're not talking, like, Flashpoint. This is just a universe that's skewed off somewhere else. There are some dark elements, but it's not like, oh, the world is fucked and everyone's so miserable. It's not Marvel Ruins, I will assure you. It's not Marvel Ruins level, I will assure you right now. So anyway, if you haven't already, go to Jason Voorhees 2011's fanfiction page. Go check out What If. The prologue is out, written by me. And just stay tuned and be prepared for new stories. With not just that story, and all the others. Because we are working, even though we don't get paid for this, and we have our own lives. Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the ass, but we keep trying. Anyway, so once again, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.